for magic for me, still seeing it. I just think that was, it's a beautiful film. It's a lovely sort of fantasy film. Are you all right sitting where you're sitting? And can everybody hear?
We'll make sure you can hear us.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You sure? Can you hear me back there? Okay, I know him.
Yes, and I know him too. And he smells gorgeous.
I didn't get that.
Oh, yes, no. Can you remember the name of it? No.
I can't get it.
It was very good.
We buy our DVDs from him.
Oh. No, I prefer men's cologne. But for me, I like men's cologne.
She's
To wear it.
always buying me stuff I don't wear now. Well, I guess to get started with this, we have to share this mic. Can you guys hear us okay? I guess we don't need the mic that much, do we? Can you hear us? No.
Yeah.
We're going to talk too loud or too soft. Maybe all loud comes to the speakers. You filmed this in 1972 in Mallorca and Spain, correct?
I did.
Primarily.
Well, Mallorca and Madrid in Sevilla studios. So
Right.
but a lot of the location was
In Spain.
in Spain, all in Spain,
In Spain.
all in Spain.
Now, it was 2 years after the filming, for the film, well, a year and a half, because it came out in December of '73 in London, right?
Yes, it did.
But it came out in the spring, summer of '74 here in the States.
Yeah.
So it took a year and a half for Ray to do the post-production work, which is 18 months is a lot of time, and that's a lot of work. And he was the one man did all that work, all the stop motion was done by one person.
One-man band, I mean, that's extraordinary, because it took, 6 weeks to film, and then obviously you had the post after the sound and everything, but then, yes, Ray's work took over a year.
About a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah.
This is my own ball-centered armature that Ray designed for me back in the '70s. Ray Harryhausen drew it out on 2 pieces of paper like a schematic, and everything he signed was RH. That's how he put behind every little piece I had put on there. He had RH as his, he didn't use his full name, just RH. As his dad was a machinist, my father was a machinist, and that was the term he just initialed it every time he did something. So then he sent this to me, the drawing, and my dad machined it out, and I made my own Cyclops or Centaurian armature. I didn't have the horse's body, but I got it out of my system real quick, because it's such a difficult thing. When you watch that, you cannot imagine when I move this, look at this, just a quarter of an inch to move that and take a shot, and go back and take a shot. That's what he did. There's been other people who did animation, but no one did it like he did, because he acted through these creatures. They're not just animated puppets. They're acting. And Carolyn and the cast did such a beautiful job reacting to things you aren't seeing. Tell us how hard that had to be. Because you're not seeing anything. You have to imagine it's there.
You're seeing nothing, but what we did have was Ray's wonderful artwork. He was a wonderful, wonderful artist in his own right, painter, drawer. So he would show us his, the sketches that he'd done of his creatures, which he magicked up, his wonderful creatures. And then he would show us the drawings that he'd
Pre-production
done.
drawings.
Pre-production drawings, that's it. Storyboard.
Storyboard.
I was trying to find the word.
Exactly.
Forgive
Hundreds
me
of
if my jet lag is slightly world.
Hundreds of them. You had hundreds of them.
Hundreds of drawings of his creatures, of his babies.
And every scene he wanted him in, he had just, exactly. He had, he'd open it up to show the cast, and this is what you're going to react to, and he'd get it to them to show how, in their mind's eye, you had to, and the accuracy, you had to imagine what you were seeing.
You would imagine, and also we had Gordon Hessler doing most of the dialogue scenes, but when it came to do the special effects scenes, the Ray scenes, then it would be Ray, so he'd step in and do all the directing, because he knew exactly what he wanted. And he'd have his great big, his eye line was a great big wooden stick.
Monster stick.
Monster stick, yeah, stick. And then at the end he'd have the eye, for me, he'd have a drawing of the eye that he'd nail onto the stick. So you could kind of, just the eye. So you saw just the eye. And he said, right, he said, Caroline. He had a very deep, wonderful voice, that's right. And then I'd kind of have to follow the stick, follow the line of the stick, and then just imagine. But I tell you what, having seen it again, and I haven't seen it for a while, looking at to me, I mean, Carly, I think, was extraordinary. How he did that scene. I mean, it's almost seamless. You look at it and you see the way
so
he put
fluid.
the act. So fluid.
So fluid.
And done way back then.
Well,
It's extraordinary what he did.
his daughter Vanessa is a close friend of Carolyn's, and I've known her for 30-some years now. So she told the story about how when she was a kid, when they made, that a Bali dancer came to the house to teach her dad how to dance, so he could animate the movies. Did you know
Oh, I
that?
didn't know that. No, I didn't. That's
He actually,
interesting.
he did that.
So Ray went through the dancing.
Exactly. He
I'd like to
came and
see
spent an
that.
afternoon with him, learning the moves, and so he could feel it in his hands. He had to
I
feel
love that.
it.
Yes, of course he did.
And Vanessa told the story about how this dancer came over one day and showed Daddy how to walk around and gyrate like this, you know, not with 6 arms, of
But
course.
with the head and the, I mean, the head is...
Bobbing back and forth.
Yes,
Isn't it amazing?
I mean, it was just...
And remember, one
astounding.
frame at a time with these ball and sock, which are not easy to
Yeah.
move. They're very strong. They have to hold their pose. And his father, I was telling Caroline, until 1964, from 1953 to 64, his father machined all his ball and socket armatures for him and raised designs. Ray would draw them out and send them back to California, where his father lived. Ray moved to London in 1959. And his father machined all these out, because these things go for $100 to $200 per inch to machine. They're extremely expensive. Every little piece has to be made by machinists. Even back then, they were very expensive. But the thing is that they have to hold their pose, but it's so hard. It's to move each frame, and the way he did that, the collie dance is so fluid, and she moves and she gyrates. And even though it's a statue, it still had a personality.
She is, and she was quite sexy, wasn't she? I mean, I'm a woman, but she was, even though she was quite...
Stoic.
Yes, that's the word, yes, stoic.
Statuesque.
Yes,
really.
statue, yes, that's good. Yeah, you're working well.
I don't have jet lag.
No.
You know, it's interesting too, that when you look at that, you realize that it is a rubber, it's steel joints and rubber, and yet he imbues all the characters with a personality. Remember we said earlier when Eric and I introduced it with Vinny, how he made the creatures die like a tenor in an opera. You know,
Oh,
like,
they really
the
did.
death throes.
As we say, milked it in that.
Regular-
But they
milked
really,
it, yes.
you know, they really went through the motions, didn't they? Which was wonderful.
Well, that's what he did.
Very theatrical.
He had a sense of drama that's, CGI is more glitzy and explosive. Like Ray said best, it goes, you don't want it to be too real or it loses its magic.
It loses the fantasy,
The
doesn't
magic.
it? Yes.
It's not a dream anymore.
No.
What was Tom Baker like? He was such a fashion, his eyes just blew you away.
Had the
He was
best
intense,
eyes,
next
didn't
to
he?
yours, of course.
Yeah, but he did have the best eyes, the most expressive eyes. He was wonderful to work with. I see him quite often at the shows in England. He doesn't fly anymore, he doesn't want to fly. But he does the shows, and he always calls me kid. I don't know why. He calls me kid.
Why?
Hardly that, I like that, but no. No, he's fantastic actor and working still, doing all the voiceovers and...
Do you know how you got the job at Sinbad? Did you ever hear the story?
Yes.
Rasputin.
Oh.
He played Rasputin in
Oh, no, I
Nicholas and
didn't know.
Alexandra.
I'm jumping ahead of the gun, sorry.
Nicholas and Alexandra, you know about the Tsar and Rasputin, the Mad Monk. He played Rasputin as a madman with his eyes. And Charles said he saw that and he goes, that's who we want to play a magician, because that is mesmerizing. He was Rasputin was a madman.
Yes.
And Kura was a mad, crazy sorcerer, so that's what we decided on him.
Yeah, well, perfect choice, wasn't it?
And he has a smile. No, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just blurted it out.
I was amazed how much you reminded me of Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting you should say
Just
that.
as crazy.
Because I was thinking obviously we had to kind of get the influences in, the Arabic. We had a dialectician there, and so we had to get some of the jargon in that was said. Salam alaikum, and we had to, you know, kind of get with the lingo.
Inside the Temple of Oracle, you even had one of the sailors doing his prayers.
Oh no, you could hear them quite a bit of it.
I remember Ray telling me too that those Sinbad films were very successful in the Middle East. They're very well received
Yeah,
by the people.
well, especially this one because they hadn't actually done, and I don't think they did in The Eye of the Tiger. They didn't reference as much, whereas they did in our film, which made it slightly more authentic, I think, because it would have been that way.
And it doesn't have any conflict with Christian Europe.
Not at all.
It's pure. It's
It's
just
very pure.
Arabic.
It's very pure, and that's the way.
It's historically accurate in that regard.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
And Douglas Wilbur, and he's still living, isn't he?
I don't know.
I think he is.
I should think so.
Now, Douglas Wilbur, he was the vizier that had the
Grand
mask.
Vizier.
Grand Vizier.
Yeah.
Yeah, great actor. He was in Pat. He played the general in the film film Pat and George C. Scott, but he also was in Jason the Argonauts as Pelias, another Harryhausen film, King Pelias. And he also played another Muslim character in a true story with Charlton Heston in El Cid.
Oh, I see that. He was wonderful.
He
in
played
El
the
Cid.
Muslim who befriended the Christian and saw how they could live
That's
together
right.
1,000 years ago.
Yeah, El Cid.
Lessons to be learned today, you know, which is a true story.
And I think it is possible. I believe somewhere out there, but hey,
Well, they tried it during the time of the uprising, which was Ben Yusuf, which is a true story. That film is based on legend, but also on fact. But yes, Douglas Munro played the Vizier,
remember him in
Vizier
that.
to an emir.
Yeah.
And he was brilliant. And here he is playing, British actor, he has this great range about him.
Oh, yeah.
A great, great actor. Any other questions?
Yes.
Talk about, did you have to audition for the part, or how did that process work?
Well, I did audition, and in fact, I know they didn't want me at all. They wanted maybe Raka Welsh, or they wanted an American actress. But what had happened, I'd worked with Brian Clements in a film called Captain Kroner's Vampire Hunter. And as he likes that.
Good music.
And of course, Brian had written the screenplay, so he suggested to Ray and to Charles Schneer that they maybe take a look. He actually showed them some footage, and he said, I think she could be right for what you want.
That's
And
understandable.
that's kind of how I...
Can you imagine anybody else besides her?
Can't picture anybody.
No.
No, I was very lucky, and looking back, it is such a beautiful film, and I feel very proud to have been a little part of it. It's such a special, lovely fantasy, children's, adult. It's a beautiful film.
Well, that's what's great about all the race films, Carolyn, is that in his big budget pictures, beginning of Seventh Voyage and Technicolor, went from B films to A films, that the production values are beautiful. Like Charles always said, every dime's on the screen. It is.
Every bit, that's it.
Every penny.
It's got to be on the screen.
And you don't have to have tens of millions of dollars to make epic spectacle of this. He proved it with these films. And the great composers, Miklos Rozsa is one of the greatest composers of the 20th century. And Bernard Herrmann and all these great orchestras and great people. That just doesn't happen by accident.
No.
And it takes a great talent like Charles Schneer.
Absolutely. I mean, the budgets were not big, and you had to be on, they had to be on time. It was a big film, but not a big budget.
Well, Ray called them tightly budgeted A films.
I know.
That's what he called
And
them.
it's true.
They were A
And the
films.
money was all on the screen. Whereas nowadays, I don't know about
ridiculous.
massive budget films, but I don't think, because the actors get paid so much now, don't they? I think.
It's ridiculous.
We got kind of scale, which was fine.
But
I mean,
Look what it did for your career. I mean, you just took right off after that.
I worked quite a lot after that, but it was
That was a huge success here in the States. I think it was.
It did well in the
It
States,
was a
didn't
huge hit here. Like we said earlier, I think Denny knows this better than I do. It was so successful that it did recreate a resurgence in fantasy films that did lead the way for Lucas to do Star Wars. It was very, very successful. Fantasy films were not doing well in the early 70s until Golden Voyage of Sinbad. And it made tens of millions for Columbia. Well, that's why they did the Eye of the Tiger after that, and they re-released Seventh Voyage back to back and made more money. They were very successful. It was the right timing. It was absolutely perfect.
timing was perfect,
It was
wasn't it,
perfect.
really?
Because we were
Yeah.
looking for something, an escape during the Watergate
Something
era.
different than, yes.
We had to get out of the news was so bad then. Yes, sir.
On the set, since it didn't have, like the movies of the day, there's infinite amount of people working on it.
Yes.
Was the set fairly limited, and there wasn't a lot of people on the set, art direction, lighting, they
no,
did a
yeah.
lot of nice lighting
You
effects,
had
it looked
Ted
like.
Moore, who was superb. He
Oscar
went
winner.
on to do, Oscar winner went on to do Bond films, and he's a fantastic technician. He had all Spanish crew who were wonderful. They're wonderful, because they're very passionate. The Europeans are incredibly passionate about film. They take great pride. We had all costume all Spanish, makeup all Spanish, fantastic, But Andrew Donnelly was, I think he was English, he was one of the co-producers, so it was mainly Spanish people, which was brilliant. Proper size crew, good size crew, you needed that big crew, and you had but when it came to the little green men, as I call them, the men, they were all dancers. They were an American dance troupe that happened to be there.
Charles took advantage of it.
Charles said, how would you like to be in this movie? Make this fantastic Sinbad movie. And they said, oh, yes.
It's just amazing what he achieved. He was a brilliant producer because
He was.
he was the first one to go to Spain. he led the way for Samuel Bronston to come there afterwards for his films, and even David